Welcome to this session on building bots and Alexa skills with API Builder. In this session, we'll describe what API Builder is. We'll talk about why you would want to use API Builder for building bots and Alexa skills. And then we'll have a demonstration of building an Alexa skill and also building a Facebook chatbot. So what is API Builder? API Builder is part of the Axway Amplify platform. It's a framework for building and hosting microservices based on Node.js, Express, and Docker. It provides a means of developing these APIs with no code or low code in a rapid and scalable fashion. You can also perform data orchestration, transformation, aggregation in code or using our new flow editor. And of course, you connect these APIs to your backend data sources using connectors from the marketplace, and we have new connectors available this fall. APIs created with API Builder are auto-generated, and they're also auto-documented. This diagram is a high-level architecture of API Builder. You can see it in on the right-hand side of this diagram. And again, API Builder connects to backend data sources and expose those data sources as optimized JSON REST APIs or microservices. Then you can optionally virtualize those APIs in the gateway to apply governance to your APIs and eventually consume them in the client, whether it's a mobile application or a website. So why do we want to use API Builder for building bots and Alexa skills? Well, many technologies like bots and Alexa skills support JavaScript and Node.js, so that's convenient for full-stack JavaScript development. Furthermore, Alexa skills and many bots leverage webhooks to communicate, and API Builder can be easily used to build webhooks. Also, you can leverage your investment in the Axway Amplify platform for emerging technologies like Alexa and bots for both hosting and governing those APIs. And then finally, by having your Alexa skill and your bot hosted on Amplify, the skill and bot will be closer to your enterprise data, so it's a tighter integration. So let's talk briefly about what an Alexa skill is. So Alexa skills run on the Amazon Echo and related hardware, and you host your skill interface on the Amazon Dev console, meaning your skill is running in Amazon, but the skill implementation, meaning the business logic behind your skill, can run either on Amazon Lambda, or in this case, we're going to run that in Amplify using API Builder and the other components of the Amplify platform. So the basic concept is to use API Builder custom API to expose an Alexa compliant API that can be called by that skill interface. And you can see the documentation which defines the post API that the Alexa skill will call, including the request and response. And that's how we need to make our API comply with an Alexa skill. Then you point your Alexa skill interface to the API Builder API that we're going to build. And of course, your API Builder API needs to implement all of the logic of your skill. So if your skill allows the user to request the weather, then your skill implementation needs to make a call out to a weather API, get that information, and return it back to the Alexa skill. You can find more details on the Axway blog. There's a couple blog posts on implementing Alexa skills in API Builder. Let's go build an Alexa skill. So in this demonstration, we're going to build an Alexa skill interface and an Alexa skill implementation on the API Builder platform. So I created a brand new API Builder project called LB Demo API, and I'm in the API Builder console. I'm running here locally at port 8080. And I can look here at the connectors that I'm using in my project. So I want to build, let's say I want to build an Alexa skill, which maybe collects data from MySQL or Salesforce or any backend data source. But in this case, I've installed connectors for MySQL and Salesforce. And here are the models that are available to me. There's some in the default project, but also I've got some MySQL tables and views, and I've got some objects from Salesforce, account, contact, and opportunity. And if I look at the API docs, I can see here, here are APIs for table 1 and table 2 and the region, or the view called regions. And again, APIs for account, contact, and opportunity. So if I come in here, I can see all the APIs that are auto-generated through the MySQL connector. And if I want to look at the all the rows and columns of table 1, I can take a look at the find all, get API. It's well documented here in terms of the HTTP responses, what the request looks like, and I can actually execute it here in the browser. And I can see the rows and columns of my MySQL database returned as a JSON REST API. And if I want to call this through curl command, I have the code for that, through a Titanium app, a Node.js app, or a web app. So the sample code for making the request. Furthermore, if I take a look at Salesforce, same thing. You know, we automatically expose all these APIs to Salesforce, and I could go ahead now and optimize these APIs, but that's not the main reason we're demonstrating this. I do also want to show you the new flow editor, or at least the flow described graphically as what this API does. And in other sessions, we'll be demonstrating how to use the flow editor. So what I want to do is I want to create an Alexa skill implementation on API Builder. So how did I even build this project? Well, if you go to the online documentation at docs.axway.com, you can navigate to API Builder, and you can see there's a Getting Started guide. That's how I got to this point. So I'm not going to review that, but we have online documentation and a Getting Started guide, and of course a free trial for you to get to this spot. Also for the connectors, for the MySQL connector and for the Salesforce connector and all the other connectors that we recently announced, you go to marketplace.axway.com, click on connectors, and you can see all the connectors that we have available for API Builder. So what I want to do now is go and create an Alexa skill. So you do that through the Amazon Developer Console. I have an account. You click on the Alexa button and then the Alexa skill kit. And what I want to do is I want to add a new skill. So this is the interface for creating a new skill, and I'll do hello Axway will be the name of the skill. And the way I would invoke it, I'll say, Alexa, open hello Axway. So that is the invocation name, and I can save that. And now what I need to do is define the interaction model. And this, in essence, defines what are the things you can say to the skill. Yeah, basically, what are the things that you can say? You can ask it or tell it to do things. So this is what's called the intent schema. So I can, of course, I could say help, stop, cancel, but I can also say, Alexa, ask hello Axway to say hello, and that would be called the hello Axway intent. And let's take a look at the utterances and how I would get to that. I have those written down here. So the way you would do that is you would say, Alexa, ask hello Axway to say hello, or to say hi, or say hello, or say hi. So those are the different ways you can actually ask the skill for something. And again, there's lots of tutorials on how to do this. This is not really a tutorial on how to build an Alexa skill interface. It's more how to do the Alexa skill implementation. Now at this point, I have to configure the skill interface, and you can see I can pick AWS Lambda, or I can implement my own backend web service. And I need to point to my Alexa skill interface, which I'll be building in API Builder. And my API is going to be called Alexa App Handler. And in order for Alexa to reach it, I'm using something called ngrok, which exposes my local host to the internet. So this is how Alexa skill interface can reach API Builder that's running on my machine. I don't need geographical region endpoints, and I don't need any of these special permissions. I'll click Next. Now, the Alexa skill interface is going to look for a trusted certificate, and I know that will be a subdomain of the domain. So I'll click Next. And at this point, I'm done with the skill interface part. What I need to do now is actually build the custom API in API Builder. So what exactly am I building? Well, if you go to the Alexa skill documentation on the Amazon developer website, you can see that the skill interface basically will make a web service call to either AWS Lambda or a web service that I implement. And that's what I'm going to be doing in this case. And basically, you can see that the skill interface is going to send a post to the API that I specified, which was Alexa App Handler, with a specific JSON body, and then it's going to expect a certain response. And if I scroll down here, you can see what the body will look like for the post. And then further down, you could see what the response needs to look like so that Alexa can actually respond properly to the user who's making a request. All right, so let's get to API Builder. So we have a GitHub repo with a basic repository here for the Alexa App Handler, kind of a hello world Alexa skill implementation on API Builder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that into my project. So my project is called LB Demo API. And if I go to the APIs folder, I will drop that in. And then I need to restart my project, which is running locally here. Okay. Now at this point, I can go back to the developer console and I should be able to make a request of the Alexa skill implementation. Let's just say open. Okay, so good news. So this is the request that came in, and this is the response that I sent. And I can also see in the console logging that I'm printing out. So here's the body of the post that came in, and then I do know the Alexa skill API was called in API Builder, and the intent was hello Axway intent, and then I sent a response. So that's good news. What I want to do now is let's take a look at this API briefly. And if we look at the online documentation for building a custom API, you'll see that this is the syntax for that. I need to, of course, require an arrow. Then I'm creating something called an Alexa App Handler, which is an arrow API. And I'm putting it in a group called Alexa, and the endpoint is going to be API/Alexa App Handler. It is a post, and you can see the parameters are a version, a session, context, and request. And again, if I come back here to the Alexa documentation, we'll see that those are the parameters of the post body, a version, session, context, and request. And the rest of this is just actually sending a response. So whenever I want to respond back, that's how I do it. And you'll notice that what I do, the action, meaning what do I actually do when this API is called, is in essence right here. So besides posting something to the console log, I actually call Alexa skill. Here's the Alexa skill method. And here's what I do in response to a launch request. Here's what I do in response to hello Axway intent, a help intent, stop intent, etc. So now what we can do is we can talk to our Amazon Echo, and let's hear what it does, and let's also watch the console logging. Alexa, Ask Hello Axway to say hi.
Hello, Axway.
Alexa, open Hello Axway.
Welcome to Hello, Axway, Alexa skill.
Alexa, ask Hello Axway to say hi.
Hello, Axway.
So hopefully you can see how easy it is to build an Alexa skill. Again, using the template or the starting point that we provide on GitHub, but you see it's really just a matter of building a custom API that conforms to the Alexa skill API request, meaning it's a post with a body of a certain format. You, of course, need to respond to the information in that body, and then you need to send back a response of a certain format. Now let's talk about building a Facebook chatbot in API Builder. This is a diagram of the high-level data flow. Basically, we have a messenger app in Facebook, which is tied to a page, a Facebook page, needs to make API calls to our chatbot implementation, which will be in API Builder, optionally using the NoSQL database and connectors to other backend data sources. So that's the basic idea. A Facebook application using Messenger requires webhooks to communicate with the chatbot implementation, and in Amplify we're going to implement those webhooks as custom APIs. So again, basic concept is to use API Builder custom API to expose a Facebook Messenger compliant API that can be called by Facebook. We're going to point our Messenger app to the API Builder API, and the API Builder custom API needs to implement all the logic of the bot. And you can find more details at our blog, and there's one called API Builder Facebook Chatbot Example. Okay, let's go build our Facebook chatbot. So I've got this project from before. You can see my Alexa skill interface or the API for that here. And I'm going to use this API Builder project and add a Facebook chatbot to it. So if you go to developer.facebook.com, there is a quick start tutorial for building chatbots, and it's using the Messenger platform. And all the information is here on how to get started, and this is what we're going to start with. So I'm logged into the developer.facebook.com website, and I want to add a new application, and I'll call it Lior's. Let me call it chatbot 001. And I need to get past this. And there we have it. And what I want to add is I want to add Messenger to this Facebook application. Okay, so one of the first things I need to do is I need to create a Facebook page because the chatbot is going to be connected to a page. So in Facebook, I will go to the Create a Page section and pick a category that makes sense. I'll pick company, organization, or institution. For a category, let me just pick, I guess I'll just do, let me try retail company, name, chatbot 001. Okay, capitalize that. So I've created a page. Let me come back here. And now what I need to do is I need to I need to actually set up my webhook. So let me do that. And that's how Facebook chatbot is going to communicate with my implementation on the API Builder project. So to set up webhooks, I need the callback URL and a verify token, which I'm going to create. Okay, so from the GitHub page, I have my webhook. I have there's a post and there's a get. I've implemented those as two custom APIs. So let me copy those and let me paste that into the API area of my project. And so this is the post, this is the get. The first one I think is the get. Let me open that up. And notice that in here, it's a simple API. But what I do need to do is I need to implement a verify token, it's called. And by default, I called mine XXX. So that's okay. Let me come back here. And the callback URL is going to be, let me copy and paste it from here. So the callback URL is going to be, again, my project is running locally on my machine, so I'm using ngrok to make that URL publicly accessible. And the API is called FB Webhook. And of course, I do need to restart my project so that API will be visible and running. And let me come over here to the admin console and make sure that API is there. And here the webhooks API. And here is my webhook for my get. And here is the post, which we're going to get to later. So those APIs are running in my API Builder project. And I can come in here, and the verify token, I just use XXX, but you could use whatever you want. You would just need to edit the custom API. So in here, I need to select, if you read the instructions in the quick start guide, I need to select messages and messaging postbacks. And when I click this, let's take a look at our console here. I should see some activity in the console log. So verify and save, and I do see here that the API was called. And if I come down here, I see the webhooks are set up properly because I have a green check mark here. Okay, so now what we need to do is take care of the page token in order to use the API. So here I would select my page, and it's called chatbot001. And I want to log in. And it's okay. And this is my page access token, and I need that. Let's come back over here to the webhook. And I can see here that the access token hard-coded in the call send API. And what I want to do is I want to paste that in my new token, save that. And now let me restart my project. Great, so that's now running. So at this point, what I need to do is I need to subscribe my webhooks to a page, and I will select chatbot001 and subscribe. And at this point, I should be ready to go. So what I can do is go over to the chatbot here. Here is the chatbot, and hello, Axway Facebook chatbot. And you can see that it responded. And I look at the console logging, and sure enough, it did receive a message, and I just echoed it back. The API Builder Facebook chatbot detected that you wrote, hello, Axway Facebook chatbot. This is cool. Now there you have it. Now obviously chatbots can be much more complicated. They could have user interface, buttons, surveys, etc. But this gives you the basic idea of how you can build a Facebook chatbot in the API Builder. And you saw it's pretty easy, two custom APIs, and then some simple configuration. So to summarize, in this demo, we saw how we could use Amplify's API Builder to easily build Alexa skills and chatbots. Check out Axway's blog and online documentation for details on how to build bots in Alexa skills, and sign up for a trial and build something great. You can find all of this information at Axway's Amplify page at the link shown on the screen. Thank you.